knowledge. For instance,
Serious?
now, okay, you have instances where somebody will say, okay, don't get married to this particular tribe,
Yes.
and you say, no, I must marry. This is the person I found, and I must marry the person. And this mother say, okay, if you think you get married to this person, maybe over my dead body, or make some kind of comment, and because of love that the person will say he has, or the experience at that particular moment, say, okay, whether you like it or not, we'll get married. And if the person go ahead to get married, and there's witnesses that say, okay, this marriage actually happened, the marriage has actually happened, because
Without
it's,
parental consent.
yes, even the parental consent is not there. The only thing that is needed in your certificate is the names of your parents. You just, I think just the name of the father. Is it the father now? I can't really remember the entire requirement, but you need that in this in occupation. And also, if I tell you my father is a farmer, and this is his name, and this is what he does for a living, you have another person who witnesses that union. Is a partnership. Marriage is a partnership. It's not a one person kind of thing. So it's both parties that are coming in. And let's not forget, it is both parties that will remain in that marriage forever. It's just that I love the way Nigeria is growing now, and people are getting married within different tribes. And I think people are becoming more open to getting married to people from other tribes. I know before now, your parents will tell you, you see this particular tribe,
You can
I
marry
don't like
from
them, you
them.
can't marry
Yeah.
from them, and you have to put that at the back of your head. Even if you see a girl or a man within that tribe that you like, you will be avoiding them for no reason.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's just basically the key requirement when it comes to what are obtainable from marriages of this sort in Nigeria, because this is where we live and reside in.
Okay, so then the matter of this one man, one wife situation in court, how does it work? According to, because I won't really know wetin law they talk. You have to be of age, you have to have witnesses, you suppose give consent. That's maybe they not marry you by force,
Yeah,
abi,
exactly.
and plenty others. Now, when it comes to this issue, because this is why they ask. Now, when we talk about the religion side of marriage, for the Christian side, now one man, one wife. For Islam, you can marry up to 4 if you fit take care of them. When it comes to traditional, oh boy, they leave her open. Now, when it comes to the statutory, if we follow by wetin law don't talk, it's like supposed to be one man, one wife. So that's where they go. So how do you relate all of them together?
Okay.
When, especially some people will be say, then go do traditional, then go do court, they go still do the religious one.
Okay. Now, it becomes a crime for you to be married under the act and marry someone else
When we say
after.
under the act.
Yes, okay, like having a statutory marriage. Having a statutory, let's say going to court or in a licensed place of worship that has been approved. So which means that you have to get married to one person alone. So as a man, you are entitled to one woman. So for you to move ahead, that okay, I want to marry Auntie Cecilia. I've seen her; she's so beautiful. I want to marry Auntie Cecilia. What you have to do, you have to first of all divorce your wife. Then you have to be a separation. That's what the law states. So you are not entitled to move from person to person. That's why it's in normal sense of it, we'll now begin to look at, okay, adultery. Okay, it has advanced to adultery, because when you begin to do that, it has moved from that particular aspect of one person to the man. But for other forms of marriages, they are not specific. So if, for instance, now I will give a typical instance, the Ned Nwoko and Regina Daniels and the rest. We talk about, okay, Mr. Ned saying he can marry as many women as he wants. He's saying that because his marriage is not a statutory marriage.
Even though he's a top lawyer.
Yes, even though he knows what he's a lawyer. Obviously, he understands these things. So he knows that as a lawyer, I cannot be married under the act and still get married to another person. But another question I also want to ask, does that really happen? It happens. But if the woman is someone who is ready to pursue it, because it's a criminal offense. Yes.
Okay, so as a woman now, or as a couple, if they marry you for registry,
yes,
it's supposed to be just only you and your husband.
exactly.
If your husband marry another person, or you marry another man,
You
and you still dey married to that person, who wanna do registry together, na crime for Nigeria law.
Nigeria law.
But you have to follow. If you don't follow am up,
that's why you see people pursuing divorce up till today. Because if it is not a crime, I can just wake up tomorrow and say, okay, this is my wife. What's even interesting? Why do I even have to bother you? I just forget about you. Maybe leave you in the house, get a different apartment elsewhere, and start living my life. But you notice that a man or a woman cannot easily do that, because there will have to be a separation that shows that, okay, this person is no longer bound by the other person, because it's a union. When you talk about union, two people coming together, right? So we are no longer bound, and the only place where you can have that division is from the pronouncement from the court. So it's when a court pronounce you. And let's even be frank, Nigerian law does not really support divorce. That's the honest truth. That's why if you look at it, for instance, when you get a matter of divorce and you are in court, they'll start looking for a way of reconciling you, talking about ADR and other means. Okay, you see most judges, they'll say, okay, can this have like an alternative dispute resolution outside the court to see if parties will be able to unite. And there have been an instance where a husband and wife, I think it was trending on social media one time, were planning to get divorced, and
one got pregnant.
And there's also another instance that they want to get divorced, and both of them came with matching Ankara to court. So it's more like, okay, people are not yet ready. We are not yet ready for divorce, which means that there's an element of love. And in Nigeria, they will tell you that for a dispute to arise, it actually means that there is just a minute common ground that is missing, right? Okay, we've always had this incidence of, okay, say some people like pressing their toothpaste from behind, while some others will press from up, and it causes
toilet seat closer, no closer. Yeah,
it causes issues. I heard of a particular scenario where, okay, the man and the woman were always fighting, and what was the simple solution? They say, okay, buy two toothpaste. You have your own, you have your own, instead of both of you sharing one and always fighting all the time. And that resolved people that were already getting to divorce level. You understand? So for divorce in Nigeria, it's actually not, the court do not really, or the law do not really encourage it. That's why you look at it, they will, for instance, ask you to wait for 2 years. And people will begin to, okay,
I don't understand. If you are married and you think you have to wait for 2 years from when
there have to be a separation. There have to be a separation period, which means that the husband and wife, for instance, have not maybe slept in the same bed, if I can put it that way, for a period of time. So it's more like they are just living their own life separately, even though they are not, they might still be talking to each other, but there's that relationship has been there for at least not less than 2 years, except in instances where maybe the marriage has not been consummated. So the man say, okay, for a period, the woman begins to complain that, okay, for a period of time, this man has not touched me since we got married, or the woman is not allowing me to touch her since we got married, and it's something that is emotional. It's going to affect the psychology of that person, that, okay, but I've married this man, or I've married this man, why is this thing not happening? So those are things that can actually bring up for divorce. But there's only one ground when you talk about divorce. So, okay, I want to divorce this person, right? Is that the marriage has broken down irretrievably. When you talk about irretrievably, it means that there is no way you can join it together.
So, like, which instances feel lead to situation where the marriage go don't reach? Because not be the issue of toothpaste or off light, on light, or sleep this side of bed. What you feel give like some instances where go reach, where we say this marriage don't really break. You they see judge don't say go try do that ADR, but you they see and say, man, we just have to let these people go.
Okay, I'll give a typical example. This was sometime in 2015. I was still in the university then, and one of our court experience was a matrimonial incident, and it was heartbreaking because the marriage was actually dissolved. Now, what happened is that the at first they were having issues with ordinary lantern. I don't know, lantern is no longer
Yes,
common.
lantern. That lamp now. Should be that way they on like this.
Thank
Where
you.
they get
With
that egg
kerosene,
bulb.
the one
Abi,
with kerosene.
where you go put on that bulb, you have to be very
Exactly.
careful. Okay.
It was ordinary lantern that caused the issue. Now, what was it? The man was not okay with the woman always using kerosene to kill ants in their house. Nothing serious. But it now resolved to a point that the man consistently will be telling the woman, and the woman will be like, no, I cannot have children in my house, and ants will be biting them. And it now resulted to an incident that they started exchanging
blows.
blows, which obviously we know it has left from the realm of marriage to assault. You are now assaulting yourself in the marriage. So instances like that, before one person will go and die, if I can even put it that way, the team came up in court and they tried as much as possible to resolve them. And you know, based on the way the court works, the court will first of all give an order known as decree nisi, and that order lasts for 3 months, right? Which means that within that 3 months period, if both parties say, okay, oh, we want to come back together, then the court will vacate that order, right? Which means that you are still husband and wife. But if after that grace period of 3 months, the husband and wife cannot come together, it actually means that the both parties are experiencing what we call irreconcilable differences.
We don't they come there.
So when you now talk about things like this, it means that there is no common ground.
Yes.
There's no common ground. And when you talk about common ground, it means that there's something fundamental that is missing. It is not only love that builds a marriage. It's not only love that builds a marriage. That's why most elders will tell you that you don't go into a marriage because you have someone that is telling you, I love you. Because one day you might not have, I love you, for instance, you become hungry. That will test that your love. There are instances that will test that your love, and you will now see that, okay, no, this is not what I bargained for. And you begin to bring up issues that both of you will not agree on. And obviously, another thing that deals in marriage is that we are coming from different background.
Yes.
We come from different background. You see some persons where in their background in Nigeria, the women are the one handling the home. In terms of feeding, in terms of, I know what I'm saying because I'm coming from the Niger Delta,
Yes.
so I can give you a typical example that, okay, you see, if the woman is not in the house, nothing can happen in that house because the woman is not just the breadwinner. She take care of the house, she does everything. And then maybe the man from that kind of a community get married to another community that feels that the man is the sole provider. They begin to have issues like that. So the man see that, but when I was growing up, my mother was providing and we didn't have any issue. But now you cannot provide. And then they begin to see that, okay, this is not working out. And it begins to form various issues. And at the end of the day, once you cannot come to a common ground, that's what we now talk about irreconcilable differences. So there is no common ground between both parties. You know, when usually we say, let's have a mutual understanding. So which means both of us should reach like an agreement. You know, it might not be convenient for you, it might not be convenient for me, but let's meet at a point where it will be a bit convenient for both parties. But where both parties are saying, okay, it's not convenient for me, it's not convenient for you, so we can't just agree. So it's best we go our way, and that's where divorce actually comes in.
Okay, so if I understand you, most times, like when you don't reach maybe beating, physical assault, definitely they go allow that one to go. But what if a woman comes say, like, if they starve me, is it only physical? Every other abuse, you know, we don't talk. What of other form of abuse? You know, maybe emotional abuse or negligence. Is that ground for divorce? That now, and then two again, can a woman just say, like they talk? Adultery is my deal breaker. My husband gets side chick, or my husband they do things for another woman, I catch them. Those ones them will court to look at it, say now break of that contract and allow the marriage to scatter, or they will still want say go try settle them.
Okay. Now there's like I said, there's only one ground for dissolution of marriage, but there are other things that form part of that ground. Now, if a party in a marriage has done something that I cannot tolerate, that I can't see that, okay, I cannot forgive this person based on this thing. Say this party has done something that is intolerable for me to live with. that based on this action, I cannot tolerate it, and seeing that I cannot tolerate it, then there is no need for the marriage. Is more like a ground. So I cannot tolerate it. Means adultery is a perfect example. If you say, okay, I cannot forgive adultery. People say that I cannot forgive adultery, I cannot forgive this, or I cannot forgive a cheating man or a cheating woman, and that has happened. You see that, okay, I cannot do it. Then it forms part of that ground, because you cannot tolerate what the person has actually done.
Yeah.
So it forms part of the ground for dissolution of marriage. It won't be easy. It won't be a good idea when put both parties in an agreement, because we talk about marriage being an agreement. In an agreement, are just there and not enforcing that agreement, if I can say it that way. Say, okay, we have agreed to get married, to live happily ever after, and then we are both in that marriage and we are frowning our face at each other. So we cannot tolerate the excesses of each other. So it forms part of the ground. So even though the courts, like I said, are not readily to grant divorce based on the fact that, okay, you just want divorce. In other client, someone will just wake up that, okay, sign this divorce paper. I just laugh. It doesn't work like that in Nigeria. It's not an Hollywood movie, because it's not something that you say, okay, you have to sign paper. Sometimes it takes years for you to even get a divorce, because these are things that you have to tender evidence, except is maybe not contentious. There are divorce matters that are not really contentious. Right?
So, but most times, Oga Justus, this applies to statutory marriage.
Yes.
So if you marry for courts, it's not easy to commot that marriage. But if you marry for maybe if you marry traditional marriage now, is it this rigorous to commot for the marriage?
No, it's not. But let me also state that there's a customary court. Right? The customary court is a court that is actually designed for matters relating to customs, right, or traditions that are not written. That's why you have people, for instance, if you go to some villages in down south, you see that it is not lawyers you have in those customary courts. It is those elderly persons, people who are grounded in the custom of that particular land. We know that for customary marriages, for instance, return of bride price is enough evidence to show that the marriage has ended. As long as the bride price has been returned, and then there's the other party now also receives your bride price. This is not a singular something.
Okay, so if the party refuses to collect your bride price,
the marriage is still there. It has to work both ways. You understand? So this is how those customary matters work, for instance. But however, in situations where it becomes difficult, that's where you have the customary court to decide. The customary court will sit over some of those things and decide that, okay, based on our custom, this woman said she's no longer doing, and based on what we have seen, please accept the bride price, and this marriage will be will come to an end. Okay. That is the end of the marriage. So the woman or the man will be freed from certain instances. There are some that will say, okay, we don't need to give me the bride price. In our custom, as long as you have given me children, okay, the children belongs to me, the woman, you can go. Or I don't know, I'm just trying to paint a scenario that, okay, maybe as a man, I'll go with 2 of the children, you go with 1 of the children, but once they are of age, they can decide whatever they want to do with their life. So those are things that pertains to the customary marriage. But for statutory marriages, or marriage under the act, it's well defined. As a man, you cannot just wake up and say, okay, I want my bride price, and that should be the end of the marriage. When you even went to do the marriage in the marriage registry, they didn't ask you to pay any bride price to anybody. There was no bride price paid to anybody. But that's what differentiates the two from each other. So if you are wedding in the church will not ask you, have you paid your bride price? They believe that for you to have gotten to that level, you must have. And the way it works in Nigeria, you discover that people do traditional marriage before even going to the church.
Yes.
Because they believe that the marriage, like the best form of marriage is that marriage from the family. The family should give you that blessing before you even come and receive a blessing from God, if I can say it that way. So that's actually how it works in both statutory and customary. They are just a bit different. So they are not the same. You can't say, okay, what is obtainable in a statutory marriage is what I want to be obtainable in a customary marriage. However, there are some things that you advantage. I would just want to bring this, it just came to my mind, that there are some advantages you get from marrying in a statutory form.
Okay.
Right? Statutory marriages, I must say, for instance, it protects not just the man, but it also protects the woman and even the children that will come afterwards.
Okay, explain.
Okay. Now, when you talk about customary marriage, for instance, a man is married customarily, and that means that he's be subject to the customs and tradition from where he's coming from or of the land. So if, for instance, I am coming from Cross River State, in my place now, for instance, if the man dies, for instance, the first child of the man, it doesn't matter the gender, is now like the head of that family. It decides what happens for the family, as long as that is the first child of the man. But it's not obtainable in some other custom. Some other custom will tell you it is the first male of the family. And if the man does not have a male child, we discover that uncles and other people will begin to come in. And in such situation, you now have that the woman may be stranded. So properties and all that is supposed to be shared to even the children will be taken from that woman and given to other family members. They'll say you did not give birth to a male child, so your husband has gone. The other things go back to the family. But it doesn't work like that in statutory marriages. For statutory marriages, there's a pattern. When you see a man died intestate, that is, he died without making a will.
Okay.
So in such a situation, the man will be the inheritance and other succession rights will be done in accordance with the Marriage Act and other necessary laws in the country. So you cannot, for instance, as an outsider, come and push out the woman that get out, because the law sees them as one.
Oh.
And in so doing, when the law sees you as one, it means that the property that is in that marriage, that is accrued in that marriage, should be jointly owned. That's why you discover that in recent times, women will have to inherit the property of the late husband, or the late husband will inherit the property of the late wife. And in such situation, it's used for the betterment of that family. Not like having an outsider come in to pick it entirely out, and then most people become stranded. So that's why you discover most people want to be subjected to statutory marriage, because they feel some form of protection given to them from marriages conducted under the Act.
Okay, so most times it is advisable to do that registry marriage.
Yes, it is.
Okay, now in cases of divorce, now what happened to the children? Because now this is why they bring this one. I hear plenty cases where plenty women, some maybe not even divorce, they go say they did separated maybe because of one thing or the other. The guy they show up, or maybe you get they do anything, and then you hear quickly most times women don't go change the pikin name to their own name, and then you hear men say this pikin go find me when you grow. So wetin the law actually talk when it comes to children inside marriages, especially when the marriage don't break down?
Okay, now the law is actually very protective of children. Okay. Very, very protective of children, because it is believed that the child is not the cause of the problem. So the child is an innocent third party, if I can put it. You have a dispute with adults that don't know how to put their house in order. So what actually happens is that the law actually look at it in different circumstances. So it is not one size fits all. So the circumstance will determine issue of custody, issue of provision for those children in terms of education and the rest. Now, there are instances where in divorce situation, both parties will come to an agreement. They will have what is known as terms of settlement. That, okay, based on what be binding, not even based on what the court says. For instance, okay, I am the man, I will take care of, let's say, the education from primary, the upkeep of the children. You as a woman, maybe you are to house the children. If the man is the kind of person that does not even have the time or does not have the strength to take care of children, you can house the children until they are of age, and I'll be providing so monthly stipend for the children. Those can actually work. Or maybe the man is not even that capable. The woman is the one bringing up this situation that, okay, based on my current salary structure and all that, I'll be the one providing this, providing that for the children. while whatever you can contribute from time to time, you can bring it in. That is an agreement also. Don't forget that marriage itself is an agreement, but this is an agreement in terms of divorce, right? So that deals with terms of settlement. But in a situation where both parties are dragging, especially when it comes to custody, it happens a lot. That okay, my children, the woman will say, my children will not stay with this man. Your husband, my some of them will even start saying my ex-husband when the marriage has not even been dissolved.
True.
My ex-husband or my ex-wife is this, is that, and they give names to those parties. I will even give a typical example. I have a neighbor recently, and
as we live together, they show up.
okay,
Either truly because some of the men no get, or say some of them, sometimes man go lose work. To get work feel hard. The woman go they do everything. Maybe she go get expectation of the man no they meet up, and then she'll come look say kuku better man they a single mother. And then most of them already feel say this man will not feel take care of us when we did together. No way where I go feel leave my children for him. You get. And then you also get some other instances where we say, let's say because of violence, or because the man actually they provide for children, but maybe she feels say he they neglect me, they meet my needs. He's a good man, he care for his children, he does the needful, but me I know they feel myself with as a wife, so I won't come out for that side, making just continue responsible for his children. But see some situation where we say some men go look and say, oh, maybe she decide to leave because of that. No kuku send both she self and the children. Some of them they like that. You get. So in instance like this, how should it be handled? How should you make a man to responsible for his children? It no matter, me and you no work, fine. But what of the pikin where they between us?
Okay. Now we even come with that. There's a recent Supreme Court matter on this, right? Because initially, before a mother or a parent can espouse in a failed marriage, can actually compel another person to do something, it has to be when a divorce has actually been granted. But the Supreme Court have actually said recently in a case that it is a wrong move, right? That either of the spouses should be able to compel the other by way of a court order that, okay, you taking a matter to court that, okay, I want this person to be responsible for this child as the parent. It's an obligation. We owe these children a duty as parents. So even if we are not living together, you do not totally have to leave the children away. So going to court, you can actually compel either of the parents to be responsible. So you say, okay, you don't want to be responsible, Abby. Now let's take you to court, and the court will grant you that order. So once the court grants that order, okay, Mr. A, maybe in your part of your prayers, you have prayed that that you want the court to ask the man, to compel the man to be paying the sum of, let's say, 100,000 naira to you every month to take care of that child. There are instances, obviously, the court will have to look at is he capable and all that. But in a situation where this is well established and all, the court will not be held back not to grant that prayers. So it will be granted. But it's just that most persons is a novel aspect. It's something that just even came up. I think the matter took up so many years in court. So many years, I think up to about 15 years when it was pursued. Before a matter gets to Supreme Court and all that, it takes a long period of time. And the Supreme Court was able to lay that down, that a man should be able to do what? You should be able to compel him, for instance, to take care of his children, even if both parents are not living together, even if they have not agreed to go to court for a divorce. Because some of them will hold that, after all, we are not divorced, we are just living separated. That we are not divorced, so why should I even bother? So in the face of the law, we are still married, so I should have been taking care of my children. But that's actually not the case. Since he's not living up to expectation, you compel.
Okay.
Yes, it's like a court order. It's more like say you have someone who is always coming to do something in your place all the time. You now get a court order to compel the person from, or like restrain the person from coming in. It's not still the same in the same light, and he has to obey it, because if you fail to obey such court order, which means you are in contempt, you'll be held in contempt, which is also a crime.
Okay, is there any courts now you file this kind of case?
No, it's like,
not. Or they also get
issues,
special.
Yes, issues like this are before the High Court, so it's not any kind of court you can take such matters to, because there's what we call jurisdiction. right? So issues of matrimonial causes is before the High Court. So that's where the Act has actually placed that, okay, things of this nature should be before the High Court. That's why it's called grade. They are in record. You discover in Nigeria, for instance, you say, okay, I won a case at the High Court too, and somebody will tell you that, okay, the Court of Appeal upturned that decision,
yes,
and then it will now get to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will say, no, let's follow the same decision that was taken at the High Court, because the Supreme Court is the final court of the land. So after the Supreme Court, the only thing you can do is to pray to God.
Okay. Now, before we round up, one quick question. When it comes to issue of marriage, should one from day one carry lawyer or carry law follow body?
Okay.
And how do you do that? Because for here now, like you first talk now, maybe law no say me, but you bring somebody, I meet a man meets me, we agree, say we want hook up together, get married, begin to get children, and maybe unfortunately down the line, things begin to go wrong. So where does the law come in?
Okay. The thing is, it's just the way the society is currently, because ordinarily issues of marriage should be between just two parties.
The husband
right?
And the wife.
The husband and the wife. But in today's world, it's advisable you have a lawyer by your corner that will advise you on so many things. For instance, there are people that will have, let's say, some kind of property that they do not want that property to be recognized as a property within the marriage as time goes on. Yes, there are instances where maybe I'm the only daughter of the family, and being the only daughter, my father has a particular wish that, okay, at a point in time he wants this property to be given to maybe orphanage or something, and then he has given it to me that maintain this till whenever you feel you can do this for me. That is the wish of the father. But taking that property into the marriage, it begins to look like a property within for that comes about from the marriage. Yeah, we are now one, you understand? So but if you have a lawyer, your lawyer can actually advise you that, okay, this is what you are supposed to do that will make this property not to be considered as a property within the marriage. Or even within the marriage, you have already decided that there are some properties I don't want it to be recognized as properties of the marriage. Your lawyer will be able to advise you on what to do. So it's a situation that if you have some of these circumstances, or you are looking at some of these circumstances, you should have a lawyer by your corner. But I think generally everyone should have a lawyer. There are some professionals you should have by your corner, not just lawyers, but I just speak generally. There are some professionals you should have at your beck and call, that if you have a situation of arising, you should be able to call such a person and ask for quick response.
Thank God I have you, because
although it's not supposed to be for free.
Okay, it's not supposed to be
it's
for
not supposed
free.
to be for free. That's why in law you have what is called retainership. For instance, okay, you can say, okay, this lawyer paying you, I will be retaining your services, so I can call you at any point in time to ask you question pertaining to any area of law, and you give me advice, and you know that, okay, on a yearly basis this is the amount I pay you. So the lawyer can take his money and spend it as well.
We'll talk about that off camera. But finally, on top today's show, wetin you get to talk for everything we will discuss. Your final words.
Okay, I would like to say that there are, for everything that pertains to marriage, for both parties, there are certain rights and obligations. So have that in mind for anyone who is planning to get into marriage. And for those who are already in marriage, just know that there are obligations, there are rights. There are some rights you enjoy as being married, and there are some obligations you owe to your partner. So don't think it has to do with just rights. I have the right to do this, I have the right to do that. Obligations is what you owe the other party. So you also have an obligation to the other party as much as a right in that marriage.
Thank you so much, Justus Ogar, all the way from the Young Lawyers Forum. And this now around where we go draw the curtain on top, know your rights. But make I talk one thing. We don't hear plenty things them. Say marriage, now like agreement, where not be said they really write and down to say, see wetin you must do, see wetin you must not do. But once you are pick, in the reality of today, truly love no just dey enough. You know dey enough say I want marry, you want marry. You know dey enough to say till death do us part. I think time don't reach me actually couples them sit down make you know wetin you fit do, wetin you fit bring. You go make arrangement on children, like you talk on property, you get on how we go take navigate the marriage, on issue of marry one wife, marry two wives, so that you go check most of the things that wey dey cause problem today and try work am make it for no take affect you. And again, I will still say try to get a lawyer or know the law when it come to issue of marriage, so that you can dey protected, the other person too go dey protected. Like we talk, love is not enough. And for couples them, abeg, say the marriage no work, no mean say the children wey come from that marriage suppose suffer. Make we continue to do our obligation to the children and our own no go laws. Don't forget, say you go join us again next time on top another edition of Know Your Rights. But for right now, continue to enjoy us on all social media platforms at CHRICED Radio TV. My name na Princess Anyana. Thank you once again, Justus Ogar.
Thank you for having me.
God bless you and God bless Nigeria.